In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the Galactic Empire reigned supreme. With its countless star systems and advanced technology, the Empire had subjugated countless civilizations under its iron fist. The Empire's rule was absolute, and those who dared to oppose it faced swift and brutal retribution. Amidst the countless worlds under the Empire's control, there was one small, unassuming planet that had yet to be conquered: Earth. The humans of Earth had long been aware of the Empire's existence, but they had chosen to remain neutral in the galactic conflict. Earth's leaders believed that by keeping to themselves and avoiding any provocation, they could spare their planet from the Empire's wrath. However, the delicate balance was shattered when an incident occurred that would change the course of galactic history forever. On a remote outpost near Earth's solar system, a human child named Leela was visiting her parents, who were part of a diplomatic mission to establish peaceful relations with a neighboring alien race. During the visit, an Imperial patrol ship arrived at the outpost, demanding that the humans surrender and submit to the Empire's rule. The human diplomats, seeking to protect their child and maintain their peaceful stance, attempted to negotiate with the Imperial forces. But the Imperial commander, a ruthless and arrogant man named Admiral Zartok, had no interest in diplomacy. He saw the humans as nothing more than primitive savages who needed to be taught a lesson in obedience. Without warning, Admiral Zartok ordered his soldiers to open fire on the human delegation. In the chaos that ensued, Lila was caught in the crossfire. A stray blaster bolt struck the young girl, and she fell to the ground, her lifeless body a symbol of the Empire's cruelty and disregard for innocent life. News of Leela's death spread quickly throughout Earth, and the planet was plunged into mourning. The people of Earth were outraged by the senseless killing of one of their own, and they demanded that their leaders take action against the Empire. In the halls of power on Earth, a fierce debate raged. Some argued for caution, believing that Earth stood no chance against the might of the Empire. Others called for immediate retaliation, insisting that Earth could not stand idly by while its citizens were slaughtered. As the debate continued, a group of Earth's top military leaders and scientists revealed a secret they had been keeping for years. In anticipation of a potential conflict with the Empire, they had been working tirelessly to develop a new type of warship, the Dreadnought. These massive vessels, each the size of a small city, were equipped with the most advanced weapons and defensive systems Earth had ever created. They were designed to be virtually indestructible, capable of withstanding the Empire's most powerful attacks and delivering devastating blows in return. With the revelation of the Dreadnoughts, Earth's leaders made a fateful decision. They would not cower in fear before the Empire any longer. They would fight back, and they would do so with a force that the galaxy had never seen before. In a matter of days, Earth's Dreadnoughts were mobilized. A fleet of 500,000 ships, crewed by the bravest and most skilled warriors Earth had to offer, set out from the planet's orbit, their destination clear: the heart of the Galactic Empire. As the Dreadnoughts journeyed through the stars, the people of Earth held their breath, knowing that the fate of their world and the entire galaxy hung in the balance. The Galactic Empire had killed a human child, and now Earth would make them pay the price for their cruelty. The stage was set for a conflict that would shake the very foundations of the universe. Earth's reaction to the brutal killing of Leela, the innocent child, by the Galactic Empire's forces was one of shock, grief, and righteous fury. The news of the incident spread like wildfire across the planet, igniting a firestorm of emotions among the human population. People from all walks of life, from the bustling cities to the remote villages, gathered in the streets to mourn the loss of the young girl. Candlelight vigils were held in her memory, and her name became a rallying cry for justice. The people of Earth demanded that their leaders take a stand against the Empire's atrocities and ensure that Leela's death would not be in vain. In the halls of government, emergency meetings were called to discuss Earth's response to the tragedy. The leaders of Earth found themselves faced with a difficult decision. They knew that challenging the Galactic Empire would be a daunting task, as the Empire's military might was unmatched in the known universe. Some leaders advocated for a diplomatic approach, believing that Earth should attempt to negotiate with the Empire and find a peaceful resolution. They argued that engaging in a military conflict with the Empire would only lead to more loss of life and destruction. However, the majority of Earth's leaders, fueled by the outrage of their people, took a different stance. They asserted that the time for diplomacy had passed and that the Empire's actions could not go unanswered. They believed that Earth had a moral obligation to stand up against tyranny and oppression, no matter the cost. As the debates raged on, a group of Earth's top military officials and scientists stepped forward with a revelation that would change the course of history. They unveiled the existence of a secret project that had been in development for years: the creation of a fleet of dreadnoughts. The dreadnoughts were unlike any warship the galaxy had ever seen. Each one was a behemoth of steel and advanced technology, capable of withstanding the most devastating attacks and delivering unparalleled firepower. The scientists explained that the dreadnoughts had been designed specifically to counter the Empire's military might, and they were now ready for deployment. The news of the dreadnoughts sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. Suddenly, the idea of challenging the Empire seemed not only possible but inevitable. The leaders realized that they now possessed a weapon that could level the playing field and give Earth a fighting chance against the Empire's oppression. In a historic moment, Earth's leaders unanimously decided to declare war against the Galactic Empire. They vowed to avenge Leela's death and to fight for the freedom and sovereignty of all the oppressed planets under the Empire's rule. The people of Earth rallied behind their leaders, their grief and anger transformed into a fierce determination to see justice served. Millions of volunteers flooded the military recruitment centers, eager to join the fight against the Empire. The entire planet united in a common cause, and a sense of purpose and resolve permeated every corner of society. As the news of Earth's decision spread throughout the galaxy, other planets and civilizations that had suffered under the Empire's tyranny took notice. They saw Earth's bravery as a beacon of hope and began to whisper of a possible uprising against their oppressors. Meanwhile, on Earth, the preparations for war began in earnest. The 500,000 dreadnoughts, each one a symbol of Earth's defiance and strength, were readied for battle. The best and brightest minds on the planet worked tirelessly to refine the ship's systems and weapons, ensuring that they would be ready for the challenges ahead. As the dreadnoughts powered up their engines and set their course for the heart of the Empire, the people of Earth knew that they were embarking on a journey that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. They were no longer the small, insignificant planet they once were. They were now the defenders of freedom, the champions of justice, and the avengers of a lost child. Earth's reaction to the Empire's cruelty had set in motion a chain of events that would reshape the very fabric of the universe. Preparations for war. With the decision to go to war against the Galactic Empire made, Earth threw itself into a frenzy of preparations. The planet's resources were mobilized on an unprecedented scale, as factories worked around the clock to produce the weapons, ammunition, and supplies needed for the impending conflict. The 500,000 dreadnoughts, the backbone of Earth's military might, underwent final checks and upgrades. Teams of engineers and technicians swarmed over the massive ships, ensuring that every system was operating at peak efficiency. The dreadnoughts' advanced shields were reinforced, their powerful weapons calibrated, and their engines fine-tuned for maximum performance. As the dreadnoughts were being prepared, Earth's military forces underwent a rapid expansion. Recruitment centers were inundated with volunteers, eager to join the fight against the Empire. The new recruits were put through rigorous training programs, honing their skills in combat, strategy, and the operation of the dreadnoughts' complex systems. Earth's top military commanders gathered to develop a comprehensive battle plan. They studied the Empire's tactics, analyzed its weaknesses, and devised strategies to exploit them. The commanders knew that the Empire's forces would be vast and formidable, but they were confident that Earth's dreadnoughts and the bravery of its soldiers would be more than a match for them. As the preparations continued, the people of Earth rallied behind their military. Citizens from all walks of life contributed to the war effort in whatever way they could. Some worked in the factories, producing the necessary supplies, while others volunteered their services to support the military personnel and their families. The media played a crucial role in keeping the public informed and motivated. News outlets provided constant updates on the progress of the war preparations, showcasing the might of the Dreadnoughts and the determination of Earth's soldiers. The story of Leela, the child whose death had sparked the war, was told and retold, fueling the people's resolve to see justice served. Amidst the bustle of the preparations, a group of individuals emerged as key figures in Earth's fight against the Empire. There was the fleet commander, a seasoned veteran with a brilliant strategic mind, who would lead the Dreadnoughts into battle. There were the scientists and engineers who had developed the Dreadnoughts' advanced technology, working tirelessly to ensure that the ships were ready for the challenges ahead. And then there was Leela's family. Her parents, once diplomats seeking peace, now found themselves at the center of a galactic conflict. They became symbols of Earth's grief and determination, their loss a rallying cry for the entire planet. Lila's father, a man named Marcus, took on a leading role in the war effort, using his diplomatic skills to rally support from other planets that had suffered under the Empire's rule. As the final preparations were made and the Dreadnoughts stood ready to embark on their mission, the people of Earth knew that they were about to face the greatest challenge in their history. They were about to confront an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for generations, an enemy that had taken the life of an innocent child. But Earth was ready. Its Dreadnoughts were a force to be reckoned with. Its soldiers were trained and determined, and its people were united in their resolve to see justice prevail. The stage was set for a war that would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. As the fleet commander gave the order to depart, the 500,000 Dreadnoughts lifted off from Earth's surface, their engines roaring to life. The ships rose through the atmosphere and into the blackness of space, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Earth had made its preparations, and now it was time to take the fight to the Empire. The war for the galaxy had begun. The first engagement, as the Earth fleet, led by the flagship Dreadnought Titan, ventured into the depths of space, the crew members steeled themselves for the battles that lay ahead. They knew that their journey would be fraught with danger, but they were determined to see their mission through to the end. The fleet's first destination was a key strategic outpost on the edge of the Empire's territory. Intelligence reports had indicated that the outpost served as a major resupply and communications hub for the Empire's forces in the region. Taking control of this outpost would deal a significant blow to the Empire's logistical capabilities and provide Earth with a valuable foothold in enemy territory. As the Earth fleet approached the outpost, long-range sensors detected a large Imperial force stationed there. The Empire had clearly anticipated the possibility of an attack and had reinforced the outpost's defenses accordingly. The fleet commander, Admiral Nora Hawkins, knew that this would be the first true test of Earth's military might. Admiral Hawkins ordered the fleet to assume battle formation, with the Dreadnoughts forming a formidable wall of steel and firepower. The Imperial forces, consisting of a mix of battleships, cruisers, and fighters, moved to intercept the Earth fleet, confident in their ability to crush the upstart humans. As the two fleets closed in on each other, the tension on the bridges of the Dreadnoughts was palpable. Crew members monitored their stations, ready to spring into action at a moment's notice. Weapons systems hummed with energy, shields flickered to life, and engines thrummed with barely contained power. The first shots were fired by the Imperial fleet, a barrage of laser fire and missiles that streaked across the void towards the Earth ships. However, the Dreadnoughts' advanced defensive systems proved their worth, absorbing and deflecting the incoming fire with ease. Admiral Hawkins gave the order to return fire, and the Earth fleet unleashed a devastating salvo of its own. The Dreadnoughts' main guns, massive particle beam cannons, lanced out with blinding intensity, cutting through the Imperial ship's shields as if they were paper. The Imperial vessels, unused to facing such firepower, began to falter and break apart under the onslaught. The Imperial fighters swarmed around the Earth fleet, attempting to find weaknesses in the Dreadnoughts' defenses. They darted and weaved, launching their own attacks and seeking to draw the Earth ships' fire away from the main Imperial force. However, the Dreadnoughts' point defense systems, a network of rapid-fire laser turrets, made short work of the fighters, filling the void with a web of deadly light. As the battle raged on, it became clear that the Earth fleet had caught the Empire off guard. The Imperial commanders had underestimated the capabilities of the Dreadnoughts, and their forces were paying the price. Ship after ship fell before the Earth fleet's relentless assault, their hulls shattered and their crews consigned to the cold embrace of space. Despite the Earth fleet's initial success, the Imperial forces refused to yield. They regrouped and launched a series of desperate counterattacks, trying to overwhelm the Dreadnoughts through sheer numbers and determination. The space around the outpost became a maelstrom of fire and debris as the two sides clashed in a titanic struggle for supremacy. Through it all, the Earth fleet held strong, their resolve unbreakable. The Dreadnoughts worked in perfect unison, their crews operating with a level of skill and coordination that the Imperial forces could not match. Slowly but surely, the tide of the battle turned in Earth's favor. As the last Imperial ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, a cheer erupted across the Earth fleet's comm channels. Against all odds, they had emerged victorious in their first engagement against the Empire. The outpost, once a symbol of Imperial might, now lay in ruins, its defenses shattered, and its garrison decimated. But even as they savored their victory, the Earth fleet knew that this was only the beginning. The Empire would not take this defeat lightly, and they would surely redouble their efforts to crush the human upstarts. The road ahead would be long and perilous, but Earth had proven that it was a force to be reckoned with. The first engagement had set the stage for the battles to come, and the Earth fleet was ready to meet the challenges head-on. Battles and victories. In the aftermath of their stunning victory at the Imperial outpost, the Earth fleet pressed forward with renewed determination. Admiral Hawkins knew that they had to capitalize on their momentum and strike deep into the heart of the Empire's territory before the enemy could regroup and mount a counteroffensive. As the Dreadnoughts ventured deeper into Imperial space, they encountered increasing resistance from the Empire's forces. The Imperial commanders, stung by their initial defeat, threw everything they had at the Earth fleet in a desperate attempt to halt their advance. Massive space battles erupted across the star systems as the Dreadnoughts clashed with the Empire's mightiest warships. The Earth fleet's superior technology and tactics proved decisive, as they outmaneuvered and outgunned their Imperial counterparts at every turn. The Dreadnoughts' advanced shields absorbed the brunt of the Imperial fire, while their powerful weapons tore through the enemy ships with devastating precision. The Imperial vessels, once thought to be invincible, crumpled and exploded under the relentless assault of Earth's military might. As news of the Earth fleet's victories spread, the oppressed planets and civilizations under the Empire's rule began to stir with hope. They saw in the Dreadnoughts a chance for liberation, a chance to break free from the shackles of Imperial tyranny. Emboldened by Earth's successes, resistance movements sprang up on dozens of worlds. The people rose up against their Imperial overlords, sabotaging supply lines, staging daring raids, and providing vital intelligence to the Earth fleet. Admiral Hawkins, recognizing the value of these allies, worked to establish contact with the resistance leaders. She offered them the support and protection of the Earth fleet, promising to stand with them in their fight for freedom. With each passing day, more and more planets fell to the combined might of the Earth fleet and the growing resistance. The Empire, once an unassailable colossus, found itself beset on all sides, its grip on the galaxy slowly slipping away. The liberated planets celebrated their newfound freedom, their people taking to the streets in joyous celebration. They tore down the symbols of Imperial oppression and raised the flags of Earth and the resistance in their place. Back on Earth, the news of the fleet's victories was met with jubilation and pride. The people marveled at the bravery and skill of their soldiers, and they rallied behind the war effort with renewed fervor. The sacrifice of young Leela had not been in vain, they declared, and Earth would see this fight through to the end. As the Earth fleet pushed deeper into Imperial territory, they encountered ever more formidable defenses. The Empire, desperate to hold onto its crumbling power, threw its most elite units and most advanced weaponry into the fray. But the Dreadnoughts and their crews proved more than a match for anything the Empire could muster. They fought with a level of coordination and determination that the Imperial forces could not hope to match. They were driven by a righteous cause, a burning desire to see justice done and freedom restored to the galaxy. And so, battle by battle, system by system, the Earth fleet carved a path of liberation through the heart of the Empire. They faced challenges and setbacks, but they never wavered in their resolve. They had started this war to avenge a single child, but now they fought for the freedom of billions. As the Empire's defenses crumbled and its fleets scattered before the advancing dreadnoughts, it became clear that Earth was on the cusp of a historic victory. The once mighty Galactic Empire, the scourge of the galaxy, was being brought to its knees by the unbreakable will and indomitable spirit of humanity. The stage was set for the final confrontation, a battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy for generations to come. Earth's warriors steeled themselves for the challenges ahead, knowing that the road to ultimate victory was still fraught with peril. But they were ready to face whatever the Empire could throw at them, ready to fight and die for the cause of freedom and justice. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Empire's counterattack. As the Earth fleet continued its relentless advance, the Galactic Empire found itself reeling from the devastating losses it had suffered. The Imperial leadership, once confident in their ability to crush any opposition, now faced the very real possibility of total defeat. In a desperate bid to turn the tide of the war, the Empire rallied its remaining forces and launched a massive counterattack. Leading this offensive was a brilliant and ruthless Imperial admiral named Zoran Malik, a tactical genius who had risen through the ranks by virtue of his cunning and brutality. Admiral Malik studied the Earth fleet's tactics and movements, searching for any weaknesses he could exploit. He noted that the dreadnoughts, while immensely powerful, were not invincible. They could be overwhelmed by sheer numbers, and their crews, for all their bravery, were not inexhaustible. Malik devised a plan to lure the Earth fleet into a trap. He deliberately withdrew his forces from several key star systems, feigning weakness and disarray. The Earth fleet, sensing an opportunity to strike a decisive blow, pursued the retreating Imperial ships, just as Malik had anticipated. As the dreadnoughts entered a seemingly undefended system, they found themselves suddenly surrounded by a massive Imperial armada. Malik had gathered the Empire's most advanced warships and its most fanatical warriors, all with a single purpose: to annihilate the Earth fleet once and for all. The trap was sprung, and the Earth fleet found itself fighting for its very survival. Imperial ships attacked from all sides, their weapons hammering at the dreadnought shields with relentless fury. Swarms of fighters danced around the Earth ships, seeking to overwhelm their defenses through sheer numbers. On the bridge of the flagship Titan, Admiral Hawkins realized the gravity of their situation. They had underestimated the Empire's resolve and cunning, and now they were paying the price. But she refused to give in to despair. She rallied her crew and the rest of the fleet, urging them to fight on, to remember what they were fighting for. The battle raged for hours, the void of space lit up by the flashes of countless explosions. The dreadnoughts fought with everything they had, their weapons blazing defiantly against the overwhelming Imperial onslaught. But for every Imperial ship they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Slowly, inexorably, the Earth fleet's strength began to wane. Dreadnoughts fell, their hulls shattered, and their crews consumed by the fires of battle. The Titan itself took heavy damage, its shields failing and its weapon systems on the verge of collapse. Just when all seemed lost, a new force entered the fray. From the depths of space, a fleet of ships emerged. bearing the colors of the resistance movements that had risen up against the Empire. These were the people Earth had fought to liberate, and now, in the hour of Earth's greatest need, they had come to repay that debt. The resistance ships, though smaller and less advanced than the Dreadnoughts, fought with a ferocity born of desperation and hope. They threw themselves into the battle, drawing the Imperial fire away from the beleaguered Earth fleet. With this unexpected reprieve, Admiral Hawkins seized the chance to regroup and consolidate her forces. She knew that they could not win a war of attrition against the Empire's vastly superior numbers. They had to strike a decisive blow, one that would shatter the Empire's will to fight. And so, even as the battle raged around them, the Earth fleet prepared for one final, all-out assault. They would throw everything they had at the heart of the Imperial Armada, at Admiral Malik's flagship. They would end this battle, and perhaps the war, in a single glorious act of defiance and sacrifice. As the Dreadnoughts and their resistance allies charged forward, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The Empire's counterattack had been a desperate gamble, a final attempt to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. But Earth and its allies had proven that they would not go quietly into the night. They would fight, and if necessary, they would die, for the cause of freedom. The final confrontation was upon them, and the galaxy would tremble before its fury. The final confrontation. As the Earth fleet and their resistance allies charged towards the heart of the Imperial Armada, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Admiral Hawkins knew that this was their last chance, their final opportunity to strike a decisive blow against the Empire and end the war once and for all. The Imperial forces, led by the cunning Admiral Malik, arrayed themselves in a formidable defensive formation. Their ships bristled with weapons, their crews ready to fight to the last. They knew that the Earth fleet was coming, and they were determined to make them pay for every inch of space. The Dreadnoughts, battered but unbowed, formed the spearhead of the Earth fleet's assault. They plunged into the heart of the Imperial formation, their weapons blazing, their shields shimmering under the onslaught of enemy fire. Beside them, the resistance ships darted and weaved, drawing the Imperial fire and creating openings for the Dreadnoughts to exploit. The two fleets worked in perfect unison, a testament to the bonds of solidarity and shared purpose that had been forged in the crucible of war. On the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Hawkins coordinated the assault with calm precision. She directed her ships to strike at the Imperial fleet's weak points, to sow chaos and confusion among the enemy ranks. Her tactical brilliance, honed over countless battles, was on full display as she outmaneuvered and outfought the Imperial commanders at every turn. At the heart of the Imperial fleet, Admiral Malik watched the battle unfold with growing frustration and rage. He had thrown everything he had at the Earth fleet, but still they came on, relentless and unyielding. He knew that if he failed here, the Empire's fate would be sealed. In a final, desperate gamble, Malik ordered his flagship to break formation and charge directly at the Titan. It was a move born of desperation and fury, a last-ditch attempt to take the Earth fleet's leader down with him. As the two flagships closed in on each other, the space around them erupted in a maelstrom of fire and debris. The Imperial ship, its hull scarred and battered, unleashed a torrent of weapons fire at the Titan, seeking to overwhelm its defenses through sheer volume of fire. But the Titan's crew, led by the indomitable Admiral Hawkins, refused to yield. They poured every ounce of power into their shields and weapons, meeting the Imperial onslaught with a fury of their own. The two ships collided in a blinding flash of light, their hulls grinding against each other in a titanic struggle for supremacy. On the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Hawkins and her crew fought to maintain control as the ship shuddered and groaned under the impact. Consoles exploded, crew members were thrown to the deck, but still they fought on, driven by a determination that knew no bounds. In the end, it was the Titan that emerged victorious. Its superior technology and the skill of its crew proved decisive, as they finally managed to overload the Imperial flagship's defenses. In a final, cataclysmic explosion, Admiral Malik's ship disintegrated, taking the Empire's last hope of victory with it. As news of Malik's defeat spread throughout the Imperial fleet, a wave of panic and despair swept through their ranks. Without their leader, without the iron will that had held them together, the Imperial forces began to break and flee. The Earth fleet and their resistance allies seized the moment, pressing their advantage with renewed vigor. They chased down the fleeing Imperial ships, hammering them with weapons fire until they surrendered or were destroyed. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The last Imperial ship flickered and died, and a deafening silence fell across the battlefield. The Earth fleet had won. Against all odds, against an enemy that had once seemed invincible, they had emerged victorious. On the bridge of the Titan, Admiral Hawkins and her crew erupted in cheers and tears of joy. They had done it. They had avenged young Leela's death, and countless others like her. They had freed the galaxy from the tyranny of the Empire, and opened the way for a new era of peace and freedom. But even as they celebrated, they knew that the work was not yet done. The Empire's leaders had to be brought to justice, its war machine dismantled, its ideology of hate and oppression rooted out. The galaxy had to be rebuilt, the wounds of war healed, the foundations of a lasting peace laid. But for now, in this moment of triumph, they could allow themselves to savor the sweetness of victory. They had fought the good fight, and they had won. The galaxy would never forget their courage and their sacrifice, nor the shining ideal of freedom for which they had fought so hard and so long. The final confrontation was over, and a new dawn was breaking over the galaxy. The aftermath. In the wake of the Earth fleet's stunning victory over the Galactic Empire, the galaxy was plunged into a state of shock and disbelief. For so long, the Empire had seemed an immutable fact of life, an unassailable power that would endure for all eternity. And yet, in the space of a few short months, it had been brought to its knees by a small, determined band of humans and their allies. As news of the Empire's defeat spread, the people of the galaxy erupted in spontaneous celebrations. On planets that had groaned under the Empire's yoke for generations, crowds poured into the streets, tearing down the symbols of imperial oppression and raising the banners of freedom in their place. But amidst the joy and the revelry, there was also a sense of uncertainty and trepidation. The Empire had been the galaxy's sole governing power for so long that many wondered what would come next. Who would fill the void left by its collapse? How would the galaxy rebuild and move forward? For the leaders of the Earth fleet and the Resistance, the answer was clear. The galaxy needed a new order, one based on the principles of democracy, justice, and equality. They envisioned a galactic federation, a union of free worlds working together for the common good. To that end, they set about the task of bringing the Empire's leaders to justice. The captured Imperial officials, including the once mighty Emperor himself, were put on trial for their crimes against the people of the galaxy. The proceedings were broadcast across the stars, a powerful symbol of the new era of accountability and transparency that was dawning. As the trials unfolded, the truth of the Empire's atrocities was laid bare for all to see. The stories of the Empire's victims, so long silenced and suppressed, were finally heard. The galaxy watched in horror as the full scope of the Empire's cruelty and depravity was revealed. In the end, the Empire's leaders were found guilty of their crimes. Some were sentenced to life imprisonment, others to execution. But for all the satisfaction that their punishment brought, it could not erase the scars that the Empire had left on the galaxy. And so, even as the trials concluded and the work of rebuilding began, the people of the galaxy paused to remember those who had been lost. They mourned the countless lives that had been cut short by the Empire's brutality, the dreams that had been shattered, the futures that had been stolen away. For the family of young Leela, whose death had sparked the war that had brought the Empire down, the victory was bittersweet. They had lost their beloved daughter, and no amount of justice could bring her back. But they took solace in the knowledge that her sacrifice had not been in vain, that she had helped to ignite a flame of hope that had spread across the galaxy. As the people of Earth and their allies set about the task of building a new galactic order, they did so with Lila's memory in their hearts. They vowed to create a galaxy in which no child would ever again have to suffer as she had, a galaxy in which all beings could live in peace and freedom. The road ahead would not be easy. The scars of the Empire's rule ran deep, and the challenges of forging a new unity from the ashes of the old were immense. But the people of the galaxy had shown that they were up to the task. They had proven that when they stood together, there was no force in the universe that could stand against them. And so, as the Earth fleet and their allies looked to the future, they did so with hope and determination. They had won the war, but the struggle for a better galaxy was only just beginning. They would honor the memory of those who had fallen by building a galaxy worthy of their sacrifice. The aftermath of the war was upon them, and the work of building a lasting peace lay ahead. As the dust settled and the galaxy began to rebuild in the aftermath of the war, the Earth fleet returned home to a hero's welcome. The streets of every city on the planet were lined with cheering crowds, their faces etched with joy and pride at what their brave warriors had accomplished. For the crew of the Dreadnoughts, it was a bittersweet homecoming. They had lost so many of their comrades in the fight against the Empire, and the weight of those sacrifices hung heavy on their hearts. But they knew that their fallen friends would not have wanted them to mourn forever. They would have wanted them to live, to savor the fruits of the peace they had won. And so, as the celebrations went on, and the people of Earth hailed their returning heroes, the crew of the Titan and the other Dreadnoughts allowed themselves a moment of rest and reflection. They thought back on all they had endured, all they had overcome, and all they had lost. They remembered the terror and the chaos of those early battles, when the Empire's might had seemed insurmountable. They remembered the grim determination that had carried them through the darkest hours, the unshakable belief that their cause was just, and that they would prevail. But most of all, they remembered the bonds of comradeship and loyalty that had held them together through it all. They had fought as one, lived as one, and in the end, they had triumphed as one. And that unity, that sense of shared purpose and sacrifice, was something they knew they would carry with them for the rest of their lives. As the celebrations finally wound down and the people of Earth returned to their daily lives, the galaxy began to take stock of the new reality that had emerged in the wake of the war. The old order had been swept away, and in its place, a new era of freedom and opportunity beckoned. The surviving planets of the Empire, long oppressed and exploited, now had a chance to chart their own course. Free elections were held, new governments were formed, and a spirit of hope and renewal swept across the stars. At the center of it all was the new Galactic Federation, a union of free worlds dedicated to the ideals of democracy, justice, and peace. It was a beacon of hope in a galaxy that had known too much darkness, a shining example of what could be achieved when people of goodwill worked together for the common good. But even as the galaxy looked to the future with hope and optimism, it did not forget the sacrifices of the past. On every world, memorials were erected to honor the fallen heroes of the war, the brave men and women who had given their lives so that others might live in freedom. And on Earth, a special memorial was built to honor the memory of young Lila, the child whose death had galvanized a planet and changed the course of history. Her statue stood tall and proud, a symbol of innocence lost and a reminder of the terrible price that had been paid for the galaxy's freedom. As the people of Earth and the galaxy looked upon that statue and remembered all that had been lost and all that had been won, they knew that they could never take their hard-won peace for granted. They had learned the lessons of the past, and they were determined to build a future in which those lessons would never be forgotten. And so, as the galaxy moved forward into a new era of hope and possibility, it did so with the knowledge that the sacrifices of the past had not been in vain. The dream of a better tomorrow, a tomorrow in which all beings could live in freedom and dignity, was finally within reach. The Galactic Empire had killed a human child, and in so doing, it had sealed its own fate. The Earth had responded with courage and determination, and in the end, It had triumphed. The galaxy would never be the same, but it would be better, stronger, and more united than ever before. And for that, the people of Earth and the galaxy would be forever grateful.